Hi everyone, Kelly here, and today I have Becky Morris from Becky Morris Piano Studio. Becky and I are going to be talking about how she was able to become fully self-employed and more than double her studio revenue in about 3 months. But I want to start, Becky, if with a quick introduction, if we could. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, your studio, and what makes you unique as a teacher.
Sure. Well, hi, I'm Becky Morris. I teach piano all online, and I use a positive, strengths based approach that is really nurturing and creative and welcomes neurodiversity. So I specialize in teaching students who are autistic, have ADHD, other disabilities, and just other support needs. Um, yeah.
Well, on that note, tell us a little bit more about your ideal student, the student that you enjoy working with the most and that you really make a priority to include in your studio.
Sure. Well, I mean, maybe it goes without saying already, but I really enjoy teaching neurodiverse students. They have so many gifts and often so many support needs that just need the right approach, which I love. I love teaching. And my ideal student is also a student who wants that creative approach, that is interested in improvising, that isn't interested in the discipline of we have to sit down for 30 minutes and practice my
Mhm.
assignment, but want the student who wants to learn how to just be drawn to the piano because it's fun and because they love it and because it's something that brings them joy.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love your approach. And obviously, your studio is so unique for a lot of reasons. But one is this ability to not only be working with students that are neurodiverse, but doing it online. That's something that I know for you has been something you've actually received training in, and you've been working on this for a while because it is such a passion of yours, which is outstanding. I want to go back to the beginning before you and I met. Give me a little picture of what you were doing and what life looked like a little over 3 months ago.
Sure. So I've been I've been teaching piano privately for off and on for 15 years, but
Mhm.
in the last 6 years I I've been teaching at a local studio where I've had usually 40 to 50 students a week, half hour students. And, that wasn't quite enough. So also, I've been a virtual assistant working 20 to 40 hours a month in that time. Um, I also taught some classes for young kids, like preschool music classes. So I was doing a lot. And so let's see, it would have been March 2021 that I decided to start my online business and hopefully phase out all the other work. Um, so 3 months ago when I met you, I had just been a few months into that process, but I was still teaching 4 days a week at the other piano studio. I was still a virtual assistant,
Mhm.
um, so I was really busy.
Yes. Yes. And that was something that we had to find a balance for right away because as we were trying to add students, we had other commitments that we were navigating and trying to negotiate our time for. So, what were some of the big problems? Obviously, becoming fully self-employed was one of the goals, but what are some of the big problems that you were looking to solve at that time?
Well, a huge problem was mindset. I think
Mm.
I was definitely driven. I have my own self drive, but getting the mindset that it was okay to quit these other commitments and let people down. In my mind, that's how
Mhm.
it always felt, letting some of my students down that I had
Yeah.
for 6 years. And while many of them were disappointed when I did have to say goodbye, it wasn't as big a deal as I thought it would be, for them and me in the
Mhm.
end, overall. Like, oh, a couple of days later, like, oh, we're just going on now. And
Yeah.
why did I make such a huge deal about this transition? So having the support from you made a huge difference, like just working through that mindset
Yeah.
difficulty that I needed to put my business and my family first before,
Mm-hmm.
you know, before these students that I love dearly, you know, but that it
Yeah.
had to be done to go on to the next phase.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard. I think a lot of teachers deal with this, especially when we are kind of one foot in the door in a studio and one foot in the door in a private studio. We have emotional attachments. We feel that we are a really important part of these kids' lives because they are a very important piece of our lives. We look forward to seeing them every week. So when it comes time to make a big change like that, it's not easy, but you did it. And
Yay.
as a quick preview to what we're gonna talk about next. Now, are we happier, or do you feel like that's something that you really, really miss in your weekly schedule?
Oh, totally happier. um, right. Like, not teaching 5 days a week is a big deal. Um, and I have wonderful new students, you know, that I'm I'm forming attachments to and really enjoy teaching and, you know, getting so much positive
Yeah.
feedback from them. And while of course I miss my students that I had to let go of, the way forward has been super positive, and it feels so good to not be working four different jobs. You know, I can just have one clear path here.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Now, obviously, you'd mentioned that you were already building your studio when we met. You'd been at that for a few months. You had some students that you had added to the studio. We had revenue. It was a really good business, but you were looking to take it to the next level and expand so you could be fully self-employed. What were some of the frustrations that you were running into at that time in that process?
Well, I wanted to build an asynchronous program, and it was very hard to imagine quite how it looked. It's a little bit different than things I've seen before, so
Mhm.
I felt I was, you know, kind of in paving my own way here. And when you haven't seen something before,
Yeah.
it can be hard to imagine. Um, and I didn't quite know how to have the conversations with people to lead them into the course and have them be excited about it and
Mhm.
not just want private lessons. I felt that I was really good at talking about private lessons
Yeah.
and giving, you know, trial lessons and sending people down the private lessons route, but I didn't know how to funnel them into the course and have
Yeah.
conversations around the course that made people stay interested and not just think they were signing up for video lessons. So,
Now, I know you mentioned the asynchronous. Let's pause for a second and kind of describe that to anyone that's watching and is already lost, because this is unique and this is something that's really a new concept. This hasn't been widespread, and a lot of studios are not doing what you're doing. So, what do you mean by asynchronous, and how is that structured?
sure. So my asynchronous program, it means that we're not doing the lesson together in real time at the same time. So there's no one-on-one scheduling. Um, and the whole program consists of three parts. So one is video lessons that are on a membership site, and those are the sequenced information that go through some particular method books and some of my own teachings. And then number two, the students are sending me videos of their playing through an app. So they can send me up to a certain amount of videos each month. And then I respond to them with a quick video or a text or whatever it is that they need to help them get some encouragement, get some pointers, and go on to the next step. And then third, the bonus is that there are weekly group lessons. So those are at rotating times each week. I don't really position them as weekly, but for now they're weekly. I think as the course grows, I might add more. I might hire a teacher to also teach the group lessons,
Mhm.
because the idea is that I get a little bit more freedom in my schedule and that I can take more students in the course than I could as private students, you know, in less amount of time.
And the idea here for you too, Becky, as you're saying, is that not only do we not have to be in front of a student teaching them actively, meaning we're locked into a 3, 4, 5 day a week schedule with certain hours on a day. Instead, you can have a little bit of flexibility. This gives us the opportunity to work during daytime hours and not just, hope that we can fill the studio with homeschool students or adult students, but we really can give ourselves some daytime work. So you're not teaching until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Right, and some
Um,
freedom. I
yeah.
like the other day I was in a coffee shop, out of town, and a student sent me a video. I was able to watch it, respond to them, like, okay, and I'm out and about, right? Like, that was awesome.
Well, and the other best part, I mean, and we haven't quite mentioned this yet, but you're moving. And so we've built this online studio and we've built this flexibility and it gets to come with you too. You don't have to
Yes.
worry about it. Even moving a town over, for example, wouldn't impact your business as significantly as something that was all in person might. People don't want to drive there anymore, or you don't want to drive to students' homes anymore. This is something that's it's a bigger move than that, but we have the flexibility to keep your online business with you. I love this program. This is something that I'm so excited about. Let's back up again to the beginning though, really quick. Where did you and I first come into contact, and what at that time piqued your interest and wanted made you want to reach out?
Um, I'm sure through Facebook, and I was definitely interested after I watch an interview like this one, because it just seemed so honest and um, clear that people were getting results from the support you offered, and there was something about you that I trusted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we've
Yeah,
had a great time working together.
it's been
We've had a
awesome.
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
And speaking of those results, let's talk about some of your results a little bit. Obviously, we previewed this. So we built an online asynchronous course. We have all online students now. We've left that other school. You're fully self-employed and the VA work. In your studio, what does your schedule look like right now?
So I teach about 3 days a week, so very full day on Tuesday. Intentionally, I would rather work less days a week and have some full days.
Mm-hmm.
So Tuesday from about 10 to 7 with a nice long lunch break. Wednesdays I teach the group lessons, which you also helped encourage me to do, group lessons that are outside of the asynchronous course. So I just teach 2 hours of those group lessons. And then Thursday is another very full day. And then I teach Friday mornings. I could consider moving that Friday to Wednesday morning. I've been thinking about that, but then it truly would be just 3 days a week. But even then, I'm off Fridays at 1, and I don't start again till Tuesdays at 10.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
it's
long
a really
weekend
nice
is really
schedule.
nice.
Right.
And we've done a great job of communicating about how to set those boundaries because obviously you have students reach out to you that are looking for additional times. When a student reaches out to you, they're asking about a time that you're not comfortable teaching because you have set the schedule for yourself. Now, how do you answer or what do you do with that student if, let's say, they want a Monday afternoon?
Sure. So I either put them on my wait list, which feels great to have a wait list, or I referred them to another teacher. So through this working with you, I also have a larger referral network, and then so I feel good that I have somewhere to send them. We're all mutually benefiting from referring to each other. And yeah, it feels good that I've just set the boundary because I know that there are enough students out there. I think sometimes the trap we fall into is, oh, if I don't take this student, I'm not going to have enough students and I'm not going to have enough work and I better just accommodate them. And so setting that boundary has helped so much.
And this is a trap that everyone can fall into. I mean, we fall into this really frequently with offering things like every other week lessons or discounting our rates for a student to try to make it work. Or if someone is totally not respectful of our policies and breaking the policy, not following it, then we kind of try to give in a little bit just to keep that student. But what Becky said is right. We absolutely have an abundance of students. And more students are quite literally being born every single day. So there's not a shortage. We have plenty of opportunity. And it's a much more freeing mindset, but it also builds your studio a lot faster when you look at things that way too.
Right. And then you're happy, like not resenting that student, when you're teaching
Yeah.
at a time you don't want to teach and you just
Hmm.
think, um, you know, no student wants to be approached with dread and resentment, and kids are intuitive and they know that.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Absolutely. You're totally right. Becky, like we mentioned, has scaled her time, meaning she's providing really quality instruction, but she's not just providing it one on one. So the students that she's working with get more access to her. For example, the asynchronous, they get to watch and rewatch recorded material. Plus, they get the feedback. Plus, they can be on these group lessons. They're getting more access and information from her than they would have in just a weekly private lesson. And Becky is not feeling as burnt out because she's not working 50 hours a week trying to not only, actually teach the students, but then working on the billing and the management because we've set up things to make that easier for herself as well. So truly 3.5 days a week with really fantastic projections for what the beginning of the next year is going to look like. And this isn't out of reach. And it's okay to be doing this. Becky's talking about hiring. This isn't just Becky's business is going to be making oodles of money and her students are going to be suffering. Her students get significantly high quality instruction in a really, really well planned and thought out and well crafted program that she's put so much time and energy into creating. And at the same time, she's going to eventually bring in other teachers to this and train them and support them in providing that high quality instruction too, so that she's also benefiting their families as well. So this scaling is exciting because it's not just you that this impacts. There's some really good potential to help others as well. I'm really, really
yeah.
excited and really proud of you for all of
Oh,
the work
thank
that
you.
you've
I
done.
know. I'm so excited too. And just, yeah, this idea that the foundation is laid really well to be able
Yeah.
to scale. That was something we talked about from the very beginning. Again, having been a virtual assistant and seeing the back end of many online businesses, I already was clued in
Yes.
that
Yeah.
um, we can only trade so much time for money,
Mhm.
and there's a cap, where we do start feeling burnt out. How many private students can we possibly teach?
You can
Um,
only raise your rate so much until your
right, right.
students
And
are
I did
also
raise my
frustrated.
rates a few
Yeah.
times, this year, and I feel comfortable where they're at now. Um,
And to clarify,
right.
when we say raise them a couple times this year, we don't mean that her students got like a rate increase
No.
every single month. But for new students, that
Exactly.
changes. And obviously we changed the price for the course to from what you had originally been thinking. We increased that a little bit too. So
Right, right.
that's where the raise is. It's not not a surprise for our students all the time. So outside of your business, how has this impacted you? I mean, you're working less, you are making more money. How has this impacted your life outside of just teaching?
It's given me a lot more. Uh, it's a lot more peace of mind, that's for sure. Like you mentioned before, we are about to move, and we are about to move somewhere with a much higher cost of living than we are now, and we don't feel stressed about that. um, um, and to be honest, I'm very freshly into this new schedule, and in the middle of the move,
Hmm.
but to I see that it's only a few weeks away that I will have these long weekends and um,
Uh,
being able to enjoy the activities that I love a lot more. We love to go camping, but having just 2 days to do it is never enough
yeah.
time, and all of these things are very close. And it's just my personality. I've always dreaded this 5 day work week. I feel like teaching is a lot of energy, and of course, those of you listening are likely teachers, right? So that
Yep.
a 5 day a week teaching is a lot.
It is.
And
It
I mean,
is.
even private teaching is a lot easier. I used to be a classroom teacher as well, but even private teaching, I was definitely feeling drained doing it 5 days a week. So super exciting.
Well, and obviously we do what we do, and we do teach because we love to teach, and we love music, and we love our students, and we're doing it for that passion and to improve our students' lives. But when we're talking about growth like Becky's, where we aren't as strained in our work week because we're not working as many hours, for example, and we've got the revenue that we need to live a comfortable life, these things that we're talking about, that we have this longer weekend that we're so excited about, or you can be more present with your students because the stress outside of your students financially and in your schedule is a lot less. We can be present and provide better instruction too, so our students get more from us, and we also can create a little bit more freely with them. So it is important to not, building a business should not be something that feels like a huge stressor. We want to make sure that we're not building to a point that we're just going to burn right back out. So very excited about what you've done. It's
Yeah.
been great.
And just to speak on what you said, it's an easy trap to fall into. Like once things start going well and yeah, generating a lot of leads and just thinking I could fill this time up, it was again nice to have that support and that um, the support in keeping that boundary. Like so important.
Yeah, we had to hit
um,
the brakes a couple times.
right. I wouldn't have felt this happy if I got to the end of it and was like, wait, I'm still teaching 5 days a week? I'm tired.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, talking about the support and working together, when we did meet, and I think you said over Facebook, and you and I met a few times, talked through the plan of what we were going to look at doing together. What was it that kind of kicked you over the fence, and why did you decide that us working together was going to be helpful for building your business the way you wanted to?
I think that your plan was so clear. Um, the steps that you laid out were so clear, and that you had done it before. Like I had trust that you felt confident in this plan, and that you also listened when I wasn't exactly the typical teacher you had maybe had in the
Mm-hmm.
past, with building my course. You had laid out this plan, and when I, brought up a few things and was saying, well, I am already doing, XYZ, and it's been really successful. But I need help with XYZ, So you also altered that plan, and adjusted it and made it tailored to me. Um, that that definitely pushed me over the edge. Like, okay, she's listening to me. She has a clear plan, but she also knows where we should put more effort into, within this structure.
Awesome. Awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we did go back and forth a little bit and made sure that it was the most accurate plan that it could be for you, which, obviously I enjoyed this new idea that you brought to the table, that this is not something a lot of teachers are working on. It's something that we're seeing more of, right?
Mm-hmm,
People building
absolutely.
online courses, but finding this balance for you in particular of what was a good fit was really important. So I'm really glad that we got to work together. I've really enjoyed this time with you, and seeing, starting the course, launching it about a month ago with 5, 6 students pre-enrolled, paid in advance, ready to go. You had worked so hard to get to that point, and it was really fun to work on this with you. So I appreciate that time and trust. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
and I appreciate you. It's been so great.
A little side note too, who do you think, if you're going to recommend that other people work with me, who do you think is a good fit for this type of program and what I have to offer?
Anyone that wants to grow their studio, that wants, more freedom in their work, especially those that are trying to transition from other work, and that are open to new ideas, and willing to be pushed a little bit outside your comfort zone sometimes. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate that. Let's say someone's listening right now. They're excited. They loved everything that you just said. And they're like, yes, I do want to scale my time. I don't want to have a 5-day work week. Why is now the time? Why should they take action and move forward on building their studio now instead of waiting a few more months or a few more years?
Why now? I mean, life is short. um, it really is. Things change fast, and we don't really know what's coming next. Um, like we were talking about this move for my family, and it's always been something we knew was going to happen sometime, but it's been years of us saying it's going to happen sometime. And I am so glad that I didn't wait, because I almost did wait. I thought, oh, I have too many vacations this summer, too much going on to make it all work in time. And now the timing couldn't be more perfect, you know. Like, we are moving next week, and I have completely built this. I don't have to worry for a second that I'm losing anything in this transition. So now is good. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and you've built such flexibility that it is an easier transition for you. But I know when we talked about this summer, for example, when we had things come up and we handled that. I mean, you still took your vacations. You didn't
Yeah.
work on vacations. It's okay to take that time too. But making sure that you had a plan and a structure was really important. And the timing is crazy. I mean, we filled your studio, you left the school, and within a couple of weeks, now you're moving.
Yeah.
It worked out really, really well, which is
It
great.
worked out really well, and the timing was wild, and it was a ton of work. Like, I won't
Yeah.
lie, being
Yep.
still in two jobs at that time, plus starting this business,
Mm-hmm.
and creating the course. That all did have to be filmed, and it's still an ongoing project to continue
Yeah.
filming it. But I'm so glad I did it, and I did it at that time, that I didn't wait.
Awesome. So if you had to give one big piece of advice to musicians that are looking to build private studios, what would that be? What would you recommend?
Oh, I don't know if it's the biggest advice, but um, um, don't be afraid to raise your rates. Like, that was a huge hurdle for me.
Mm-hmm.
So huge. Last year, when this was just an inkling of an idea, and one of my close friends told me her rate, I was just like, no, that's way too expensive for this area, and no way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm nearly that rate, that I'm just very almost the same, you know.
Yeah.
Um, don't be afraid to raise your rates, and
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference in the students you attract, and the how you feel about teaching that student for
Mm-hmm.
that half an hour or hour, um, and just, you don't have to teach as many students a week,
Yeah.
when you just find that rate that seems fair for everyone, including
Well,
yourself, right?
yes. Well, I was going to say it's also fair to you as a
Right.
musician. Most of us have worked our entire lives on this profession and worked for decades to build up this mastery and to be able to teach it and to learn to be a strong teacher and a strong player. That should be valued. And any other service professional, they don't start their training at the age of 5 or 6,
Right.
like most of us do, and they still get to charge, a significant rate. So being confident in the fact that you do know what you're doing and that
Right.
is worth a lot, that your passion for your students is also worth a lot.
And you always discover more business costs. So a year ago, when I was like, oh, that
Mm-hmm.
seems so high, there were 20 different things I didn't know that would be an expense. And, they all add up, even with an online business. Of course, that doesn't have the same overhead as a building, but there's always cost you don't expect
Mm-hmm.
when you start.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Now, let's say someone is super excited about all the teaching that you do. They want to learn a little bit more about you, or maybe even refer a student to you that they have in mind. Where would they find you online?
BeckyMorrisPiano.com. Easy. Yep.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Becky, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing a bit of your story and how you got to this point. So excited for what you've done. So excited for what's ahead of you. Congrats again on the move. And
Thank
I
you.
look forward to
Thanks so
seeing
much. This was
continued
fun.
growth. Awesome. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.